Hi guys, this is part 2 of the DQ500 TSG Gearbox to kseries. So this is part 2 of the installation. So on the gearbox side, you've done all your milling. We're going to do final assembly now. We want the plate to go onto the gearbox first. With the supplied bolts, easier, just move us out of the way. There's always one bolt that's hiding away somewhere. Here we go. So the one bolt sits inside the starter's hole. This particular Allen cap bolt must not use a washer. Get them all nipped up first. Once you got them all nipped up, torque them down to whatever makes you feel happy. Honda specs, get them all torqued down. So that's the gearbox done. That's ready to go against the engine once it's torqued down. Let's move over to the engine side. So on the engine side, we're gonna we're first gonna drop all our special bolts. Let them all drop in. Put some spaces down because the bolts, the head of the bolts gotta stay seated all the time onto the flywheel bottom. Get them all lined up. Make sure you got them all seated down first. Once they're all seated down, just start to find the thread on each one. Just a few turns on each one. And then slowly start to get them all seated, just little turns at a time. You don't want to be spoiling these 12x1 threads. They are extremely delicate. need some Guns N' Roses in the background here. Just getting a little bit boring. Just make sure nothing's pinching. Keep going a little bit at a time. Don't force anything with a ratchet, just do it by hand until everything feels snug. Okay, once you got that by hand, snip them. Nip them all up, and then basically torque them down according to Honda specs. It's the same strength bolt, it's the same thread pitch, so it requires the same torque setting. Torque them up to Honda specs, and then that's your flywheel done. And then we move over to the transfer case bracket. So we want to get the transfer case bracket on first. This particular hole, after you've trimmed down your 22mm from that reference face, you've gone down 22mm. That thread is Honda's threads are typically tapered towards the bottom, but because we got so little thread left, run a flat bottom, 10 by 1.25 tap, a flat bottom tap, all the way down just to maximize the amount of thread that you can use there, and then obviously maximize the length of the bolt that you can get in there. Use the longest bolt possible. Do your check to make sure of all of this before you start your final assembly. Okay, so you just want to nip these bolts in. Make sure they're all seated nicely, and then back them off. Back them off at top. You want the bracket to be a little bit loose. Then we're going to slip our transfer case on. One thing I never mentioned in the preparation of the block was that across this area over here, to help not to remove too much of the block, I took about 2 to 3 millimeters off this area here. So please take note of that. Do that before you start grinding on the block. Just remove some of that material in that area over there. That will help you to not get too close to the main casting. Probably the ex-wife phoning for money again. Anyway guys, so get all your bolts in, those 4 bolts underneath, those 3 bolts on the bracket, get them all in. Don't tighten them yet. Just leave them a little bit loose, because you want this transfer case to be slightly movable, so that when you bring the gearbox and engine together, you got a bit of movement here to get it all to lock into place. And in the next part 3, we'll show you how we bring them together, and then we'll actually tighten the transfer case bracket down properly. So for now, that's it for. Oh, another thing on part 2 I want to show you is this oil relocation sandwich adapter. You may want to put this on at some point. So that's the special bolt that goes into the engine block, and that's your sandwich adapter. Basically just pops on there, and then your locking nut with your O-ring. Don't tighten it for now. You wanna move this angle afterwards, once your engine's in the car, to see what's the best angle for the exit points, entry and exit point over here. Those 2 entry and exit points. You can angle it however you need to afterwards, and then tighten it down. But you need to put this on before the CV cup goes on, and you'll see why this was all taken away here. Because once that goes, well, you actually need to put the CV cup on first, because it's a little bit tight as it is now. But once the cup goes on, the cup's just about going to clear this area over here, and then on top of it you got the boot sitting a few millimeters away from there as well. So you want to get that on either before or after the CV cup goes on. So don't forget to leave these bolts, these 3 bolts of the bracket, leave them a little bit loose, and then your 4 main carrier bolts, leave them a little bit loose, until you got your gearbox and engine completely assembled, and then we'll come back to tightening all these bolts down afterwards. That's it for part 2. Thanks.